Welcome to the 133rd episode of the MC Knitting Adventures podcast. My name's Colleen.
And my name is May. Welcome returning viewers, and for those of you watching us for the first time, we're so glad you could join us. On today's video, we are going to talk about the first part of our Central Ontario tour. We went up to Collingwood, Gravenhurst, and all those areas in Central Ontario. But before we begin part one of Collingwood, Colleen will be talking about what we're wearing.
All right, let's talk about what May is wearing. Now, May is wearing something's called the Honey Cowl, and this is by Antonia Shankland. Lovely pattern. Now, for May, I did this in Sirdar Snuggly Baby Bamboo, and I used, these are 50-gram balls, if I am correct.
I find that the bamboo is so soft.
Yes.
Beautiful.
It looks lovely on you. And so I used 2 of these little balls to make that. The pattern itself has it so you could make it for a doubly long one, so you could wrap it once if you wanted to, but sometimes you don't like that much around your neck, so that's what we did. So that's what May is wearing. Now what I am wearing is something called the Bead Curloop, and that's by Laura Nelkin. Now I got this in a kit, and in the kit was the yarn, which is Leading Man Fiber Arts Showstopper. This color is called Perfection. There you go.
Did you do that on purpose?
No, I didn't. I like purple, so that's what it came with.
Purple Perfection.
There you go. So it comes with the beads. It has a dental floss threader, some super floss for placing beads, and a pattern download. So if you are thinking that you might like to try and put some beads in your knitting, this is a good one because there are 2 different ways that you can put your beads in. You have to do it in 2 ways. The nice thing is there's videos. Laura Nelkin's really helpful with that. And I like this one because it's light, but it still adds a little bit of bling.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah,
the
I'm
beads.
happy with that. So that's what I am wearing. And next we're going to talk about finished objects. My first finished object is still on the blocking mats, but it blocked beautifully. So I made the larch, and that's by Tinks and Frogs Rue. It's a lovely shawl. They call it a scarflet, but I was able to block it, and I didn't block it aggressively. The yarn that I used was Ba Yarns called La Jola, and it's blue-winged teal. So it's beautiful. The color is gorgeous. And I always like to let you know how big it was and how big it is. So it was just lying there, 37 inches across.
Before you blocked?
Before I blocked it. And when I blocked it, it's about 55, 56 inches.
Wow, it's quite a difference.
It is. Now, it's because it's garter stitch, a lot of it, and then the lace opened up. So I will wear that on our next podcast, and you can see how much it's opened up.
Now, how much trouble is it? I know you've done some blocking things and done that before, but how much trouble is it to block? You have to wash the. You have to
soak it. And then kind of rinse it and then roll it up in a towel to get out most of the moisture. Now the trick is to make sure if there's a straight line in whatever you're blocking, like a shawl, that you make it a straight line. So you had a piece of like MDF that you didn't need. It was a thin piece, nice and straight across. So I use it. So if I'm using blocking pins, I'll pin them in and then I'll have that piece against it so I know that it's straight.
Kind of like a yardstick kind of thing.
Exactly. So it worked really, really well. You can use blocking pins. You can use blocking wires. I've done both. In this case, I just use blocking pins. It's Knitter's Pride blockers, I think is what it says. But because I didn't want to mess up the edge, and so that's why I used just the blocking pins.
Well, it'll be interesting to see when you wear it what it looks like.
Exactly.
Now, you're a big blocking fan. You never used to do that when you knit. You would knit for years and didn't block.
Yeah. Now, I think that's partly because I did a lot of knitting with acrylic, and with acrylic you have to kind of steam block it, but if you steam block it too hard, it flattens it out. So there's tricks to that. But now that I'm working with more wool, and the difference, especially if there's lace, the difference between an unblocked and blocked, totally different thing.
Yeah, I notice a difference too, and I'm not really a knitter.
There you go. So that's that. Now my other finished object, which is also on the blocking mats, is called the Quentis Scarf, and that's by Laura Nelkin. And this yarn is actually, it's called Studio Linen, so it's 85% recycled linen and 15% premium linen. So that's what that is. And I blocked it to the size in the pattern. So it says finished measurements when it's blocked, and I blocked it to that size. I didn't want to stretch it. It's just to do kind of like once around your neck. And so it'll be interesting to see how that works.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how that
exactly.
looks.
So I'm really happy with that.
It almost looks like you used the color yarn that is in the pattern. Did you
I
do that?
did. So this
On
was one
purpose?
of the, no, this was one of the Lola's kits, so you don't get to choose what color.
I see. Because
Yeah,
I was thinking
exactly.
that would be not a normal color that you would normally
No,
choose.
we are wearing the normal color I would choose.
Yeah.
So I may make another one of these in some purpley yarn, and whether I put beans in or not, because you can do it with or without, which is kind of nice that way.
Very good.
So that's that. Now, that was the fun stuff. The other stuff's fun, but it's more work knitting. So let's take a look, because I really want to talk about the difference between Charisma, Loops and Thread Charisma that's plain, and Loops and Thread Charisma that has tweed in it, because it's amazing the difference in the amount of things you can make. So first of all, let's talk about just the Loops and Thread Charisma acrylic. Now this has 109 yards in it. And I made 3 things out of it, and I had 2 balls, and so they're 200-gram balls, and I was able to make 3 things. So I'm going to show them to you all. So first of all, I did a basic pom-pom beanie by Destiny Meyer.
And you've seen this before.
Absolutely, and this is so cute, the 2 pom-poms, and it's nice and soft. That Charisma is really nice and soft.
Colleen are actually very busy between now and December because we have to get ready for our booth, and
Exactly.
we're continually making stuff, and I've got to
That's
get into
right.
the woodworking, and then usually September, October, November, we're usually doing all the finishing touches on the things that we've
Right,
made.
exactly.
And hopefully we'll have lots for our little,
That's
you know,
right.
it's amazing what you and I could fit on an 8-foot table.
Exactly.
But I made something that goes in layers.
I
And
know,
gives
you're
us some
very good at
height.
that.
So anyway, this is great.
Now
Colleen.
this yarn is, the colorway is called Cloud. So it's not gray and it's not white. It's kind of a mix in between the two.
Right,
And I really
nice.
like it.
Yeah, I like that. I love these tags. These tags. I know we talked about those before.
That's
but
right.
Those are great.
Okay, so that's that. Then I made a chunky cable hat by Destiny Meyer. Same yarn.
Was this all on our road trip?
This
or-
was all on our road trip.
Wow.
So there's that.
That's nice. I love the cable in this hat.
I know, I
and
do
the
too.
pom-poms, you make great pom-poms.
Yes. So that's good. I didn't make the pom-poms till I got home, because who wants all that stuff all over the car? I don't think I would have been very popular, that's for sure. Me saying, what? That's not. There we go.
Anyway, that's
So
great.
that. And then out of the same 2 balls, I was able to make, was it 2 balls or 3 balls?
Wow, this is nice.
There we go.
You haven't got one this color now.
No, I
You've done
don't.
beiges and browns.
Exactly. So I
This is
thought that
good.
would be good.
That's really a nice color. I like that.
Yeah. So this took 1 and a bit. This, is it 3 balls?
Wow.
2 balls, I think. I was able to do it with
Look
2.
at that. You did all this with
Yeah, 2.
2 balls of yarn. Wow.
Don't quote me on that. We'll put it here. I think it's 3.
That's great. Could be
Yeah.
2 or 3. We'll just
Yeah.
say go with 2
2 or 3, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Very nice.
Very
Lots
good.
of work.
Lots of work. Okay, so that's that. Now, the next yarn that I did, and that is similar, except this has the tweed in it. So this has 93 yards. Now, this doesn't say tweed on it. It says it in the colorway, but it's the same idea, but it's tweed. So it's only 93 yards. So that changes up what you can get done. I think it must have been 3 balls. So
Yeah.
this was 1. And quite a bit. It took more than this one because there's not as much yardage. So that's that. And then I made one of these, so another one of the cabled hats. So this is the Christine button cowl by Cozy Up Designs. And so then I made another one of that. And I don't have enough left. This is what I have left, but it's not going to make...
Can you make a headband with that? Would that be
I'm going to have to weigh it out and see if I can make a headband. I'm not sure.
You might have
I
to make
think-
a 2-colored headband. or something.
Exactly, exactly. So it's amazing to me, out of the same number of balls of yarn, that and this, so you get that extra hat out of it. The balls are the same price. So you can see that I'm going to be able to do more of that. I do have this yarn left, but as you say, maybe headband, I don't know, but we'll have to see. But lots of good knitting for...
That's something to note if you're a knitter, to look at the,
at the yardage and see.
There.
Exactly. I was so happy because when I made this little hat, I thought, oh, am I going to have enough for pom-poms? And I did.
Well,
so very exciting. So that's my work knitting done, and my little fun knitting is on the blocking mats. And May, how about you?
Well,
finished objects?
On our road trips, which are fun, we haven't done a road trip for a little while. I'm usually doing the driving, so I'm not quite as productive, but I can't wait to get home to get into the garage to get some of my work done, which takes me a little longer to catch up on all the little things I'm doing.
Right.
But first of all, what I want to do, which has been kind of weighing on me, my friend had requested that her son is involved in Dungeons and Dragons, this board game where you need little pieces and little taverns and there's little things. And I started that, I don't know, months and months ago, and I never really did complete it. And I was kept looking at it thinking, oh, I have to do that, I have to finish that. Finally I finished it. I was so happy. And here are the little pieces that I finished. It's a little tavern that I made.
They are amazing.
This is the table, and I wanted to make it that it was all not only cute but sturdy, you know, so the kids are playing with it on the board game, they can move them around quite easily.
These are great. They're going to love
them. So
them.
that's just a little stool there, and a little bar, and a little
looks like you've got some treasure chests.
Yeah, and little treasure chests and fireplace and a bar. So
that's
anyway,
exciting.
It was fun to do that, and now it's complete, and I'm so happy. And I'm going to put it in this little box.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And just give it to her as a gift and say, there you go, there's little pieces for his.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So that is finished object. And also, before we went on our road trip, I was working on some doing some nautical themes for my wooden stuff, like the paddles and that type of thing.
Right.
And then I would like to take credit for this design, but it's not. I had saw this design of a boat in my head.
Yeah.
It was a picture. Now, it wasn't on Etsy and it's not on YouTube, so I don't know where I saw this picture of this boat in my head. But I thought, I don't know what kind of wood they used, and there was no pattern or anything. I just had this visual of this thing.
Right.
I thought, what a cool idea. And they just put in a hole and then cut out another hole, and it looks like a little boat.
Perfect.
And I thought maybe I could come up with something using pine. Yeah. And so I did. And here it is.
Oh, it's so cute. I love the dark stain on the bottom.
Yes. Now, the nice thing about it, when I do the paddles, I've got all these strips of scrap wood for when the length of the paddle is, the wood on either side. And I was able to use that for the base of this. And then I just used pine, drilled a hole, and then with my scroll saw cut this out. And then I just kind of painted it white and kind of roughed it up a little bit. And then I thought, that is so cute that I thought I would do many and do different sizes, because I think they might sell
I think they'll sell really well. They're
for
really
the nautical theme.
Very nice.
So those are my finished objects, and I've got a few works in progress, but we'll do that when we get there. But those are my two finished projects, so it took a while. So I feel like I'm getting somewhere for things.
You are, that's for sure. And I've had time to think. I was listening to you, but I did have time to think. So it had been 3 balls of yarn. Okay. So this is 1 and a bit. That takes care of the rest. So that's the 2, and then that's the 3rd one.
So 3 balls of yarn.
3 balls of yarn.
Good.
But great to have all of that knitting. So if anybody's thinking about doing Christmas knitting and starting now, they talk about Christmas in July, they can talk about Christmas in June. You can just get started, because it's nice to tuck these things away.
Right, it is. It's good that we're getting a supply for our little booth. And
that's right.
You know, we have quite a few shows. We have some in September. We have some October, November, and I think the beginning of December. The November one kind of goes in. I think we're kind of finished at the end of November. I think that's the big show, isn't it?
Okay, I think so.
Yeah. So.
All right. So that's our finished objects, and next we're going to talk about works in progress. I find when we're in the car and we're driving and we're doing a road trip that it's always good to have a pair of socks on the go. Especially if you do magic loop. I find if you use double point needles, they're always all over the car. But if you use magic loop method of knitting socks, or some people use a little 9-inch circular. I have tiny hands, but I find those difficult. But anyway, lots of people work with them. That it's kind of nice because you can look at the scenery. I mean, if I know that I'm knitting 6 and purling 2, I don't even have to look at that. I can feel where the pearls come, and it's all good. So my first pair of socks I was working on while we were away is the Katie Lou sock pattern.
Your favorite?
My favorite. It's where I began my sock journey. And I am using the Lang Yarns Gemstones Super Socks Color 4-ply Superwash. Now, this is a little toothy, but actually it doesn't feel too bad right now. So there's that.
It doesn't at all.
So this is called a
ho.
Ho!
Oh, you just about scared my pants off.
So that's what it's called. So I've got one done. So this is one of those birthday pairs of socks, which we will just not mention who they're for. Yes, they are.
Well, they're for somebody that's huge feet.
But so it's not you, and it's not me.
But you know what?
Yeah.
You're saying this is toothy. I don't feel like toothy.
I know. All of a sudden, it doesn't feel
like
so
it
bad.
was earlier when I felt it, but now it's like soft.
So I think if I soak these and block them, which I may just roll them and lay them flat. I don't think I'm going to put them on the blocker. So anyway, I've got quite a bit of the other one done as well. And I've got lots of yarn. Now, I didn't make these to match. I was going to, but there is such a long repeat in this that when I looked at where my yarn was going to be, I thought I'm going to have to cut and paste. And I guess you don't paste when you're dealing with sock yarn. But you know what I'm saying. I'm going to have to cut and put this and that. I thought, I'm not going to do that. So I just started to knit. And I don't think you're going to notice much difference.
For a second there, I thought they were the Toronto Maple Leaf socks.
Well, I think when we were thinking about the socks for Scott, and I thought, oh, I think I could do those for somebody else. So obviously it's not May, it's not me, and it's not Scott. So who's left? So there you go. So they're coming up nice. I really like them.
They're nice. Yeah, I really like
that
them.
yarn is really nice to work with, actually. Yeah. I really like that.
That's nice.
So that's my first work in progress.
Speaking of the Toronto Maple Leafs, there is a hockey game on tonight. I have to remember.
Yes.
Now, Colleen and I are avid Toronto Maple Leaf fans, but they never seem to win, or they get to a certain point and they can't really take it over the edge.
Right.
So anyway, they're now out of the playoffs.
Out.
They're gone. So now there's Edmonton and Florida, and they're going for the Stanley Cup.
Yes, they are.
Now, because Toronto is out, we have to go for a Canadian team for sure.
Well, we are in
because
Canada.
we are
That
totally
would be the way
Canadian.
to do it. Yes.
And so we're rooting for Edmonton. Go Edmonton, go! But Florida has an amazing goalie. Like
they do.
They are just. He's just amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I'm hoping that Edmonton can do it, but I'm not sure. And I just find it fascinating that, hockey is, lacrosse is actually Canada's national sport.
Yes, it is.
But hockey, we're the Northern Ontario and North, and it's all hockey.
That's
Kids
right.
grow up with hockey. And a Florida team, half the people there probably don't know what hockey is.
That's true.
And they're going for the Stanley Cup, so it's very interesting.
It is very interesting.
But big game tonight, so if you're watching it, root for Edmonton.
There we go. All right, so my second finished up. No, it's not finished. One of them's finished. So what is that
Work
called?
in progress.
It's a work in progress.
Hoe.
It's a hoe. Like hockey, hoe. Okay, so here it is. Now,
Oh, this is softer.
this is much softer. This is the Scrappy Quilt Socks by K.F. Jones. And if you recall the last time we talked about this, I had some yarn, which is called Storm, and it is exactly a storm. It would be great for jeans and all those kind of things. I was trying to make a shawl, and it's too muted, and it wasn't doing what it needed to do. So I thought, well.
But as socks, it is
I know.
fantastic, isn't it?
So it's Superwash Merino Cashmere Silk Socks.
Oh.
There you go. So it's Riverside Yarn Studios. It is a beautiful
Well, aren't
yarn.
you elite wearing cashmere socks?
I am. And this, I have to tell you, this is lovely. The texture on this makes these socks nice and cozy. I've only had one on my foot, but they do. I think and so anybody who's got like an Advent calendar kind of thing that they haven't dealt with, there's 3 different ways. You can either knit them with plain yarn like I am, or you can knit them with 20 gram skeins or with 10 gram skeins, and it's all in the pattern. KF Jones has done a wonderful job.
I think you did a great decision making this into sock. It just looks like sock yarn.
It does, and I have lots because I have little feet.
Yeah.
Little feet, let me come in. There you go. So anyway, I've got this much done on the second one. So same thing, great to have it in the car to knit. Now I'm going to tell you, if you are doing one sock at a time, let's talk about this. So this is a 32-inch circular sock needle, and this is a 40-inch circular sock needle. And every time you do magic loop, you got to pull it through. So this takes longer. So I should have, in hindsight, there are 72 stitches on this sock. There's only 56 on this sock. And it would have been smarter to have the needle switched over. Either that, or usually I use a 40-inch needle when I'm doing 2 at a time. For 1 at a time, I think a 32-inch is a bit better. So that's just a little tip. So there we go. So that is what I have as far as works in progress. And May, you have been out in the garage.
I have had lots of little works in progress.
That's right.
I'm still doing my little puzzles. This is a work in progress. I still haven't scrolled down, saw this part out.
Right.
I've made about 5 or 6 of these.
It's very cute.
I've made different sizes. I've made some larger ones. That's going to be kind of fun, that puzzle for kids.
Exactly.
I'm going to get into making different designs.
It's very nice.
But this is the one I've got so far.
Right.
Work in progress. And also, I don't know if I've shown you this before, but I wanted to make a dog leash holder.
Okay.
And so I've gotten the back
Did
cut
you
out.
router that out?
I routed that out, yeah. So
Talented lady.
I can put in the
Right.
hardware for this to hang it up.
That's right.
And I painted the dog. And then the dog goes on here like so.
Right.
And then I'm going to put a little white hook by its tail.
Oh, very cute.
And then I'll put 2 little hooks down here.
Right.
And then I thought on this spot here would be good for the poop bags.
That's right.
You know, or if you've got little keys or poop bags.
Exactly.
And then that was just kind of an experiment to see how it turned out. But I kind of like the colors of it, the dark against the white. So
yes, you are a talented soul.
So that's another work in progress. And there's lots going on in my head, but no progress.
Okay. Well, a little bit at a time. That's what we get to do. All right, so that's our works in progress. And next we're going to talk about our adventure.
Really excited to talk about our road trip in Central Ontario. Our first stop was Collingwood. Lots to do in Collingwood. We love that area. We've been there before, but it was nice to return. We haven't been there for a few years.
Right.
And Colleen was excited because she visited the yarn store, the Maker's Outpost, and that was a great little yarn store. It was down in downtown Collingwood.
Yes.
And beautiful little stores down there. And lots to do and lots of little stores. I love going to those little stores.
I know.
We actually across the road there was a secondhand store, and I love going into secondhand stores and finding some little treasures in there.
Yeah, and it was called Treasure Tales.
Was it?
Called Treasure Tales.
Oh, and okay, I didn't know that.
That's okay. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And the neat thing is the money that they clear goes to the, I got to make sure I write it down properly, the Georgian Triangle Humane Society.
That's great. I'm glad we bought something there, but we won't show you that until souvenirs.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we're glad to talk about that trip, but I'll just go ahead and put that video in, and then we can talk about it afterwards. So we're heading up to our little road trip. First of all, Central Ontario. As you can see, that was yellow on the map. Now, London was on the red part of the map with the southwestern Ontario. And it took us about 3 hours to get to Collingwood, which is our first destination. And as you'll see from the map, it is right at the tip of Georgian Bay, which is lovely.
Absolutely beautiful.
And Georgian Bay is just, I just love it. And it's known for shipwrecks.
Oh, okay.
And right across there's only about an 11-minute drive. There's Blue Mountain, and that's a ski resort.
Okay.
So here we are arriving at our favorite hotel. You can stay right in the village in Blue Mountain, but we just chose to stay kind of like in Collingwood itself.
Yes, it's Holiday Inn Express and Suites. It's beautiful.
And there we are. We travel light. We're only going for a few days. You think we're going for a month.
It's okay. That's how we keep our arms built up for pickleball.
I love this hotel. It has a pool, a hot tub. It's got everything. I just love it. It's so clean. Of course, Colleen doesn't waste any time. We have to head right downtown to that yarn store. And then as soon as she figures out that parking, I couldn't keep up. You were gone like the wind to that yarn store.
Lots of things to see. Lots of neat stores.
Now with that parking, did you use your Visa or how do you use that?
I think I had cash this time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And here we are at the yarn store.
So Sophia's on the left and Susan's on the right. And this is the Maker's Outpost. And it has gifts and jewelry and those kind of things at the front. And then what they've brought in, because there's no real yarn store in Collingwood, they've brought in some Wool in the Gang. They've brought in some Sadness Garn, and there you can see the gifts. Lots of neat things. There was some jewelry.
Candles, I noticed there was candles. And the cool thing about this store, it was right on the corner, and I didn't know it was a yarn store actually. And we were walking by, I said, oh, let's go in here, it looks kind of neat. And here was the yarn store.
Yes, now I researched to find out, and it came up the Makers Supply Company, but it's actually the Makers Outpost. So they've just added the yarn to it. Oh, there's some candles
Yeah, there's
too.
some candles, and you can see from the pictures there that it was right at the corner of the street.
Yeah, it's a great little store. They've got all kinds of neat things.
Now, I headed up the stairs. You didn't...
I was involved in the yarn. I didn't head upstairs.
Yeah, because they said there wasn't any yarn upstairs, so I don't think you're interested. Here's these little stairs. It was kind of cute up there. Of course, I have to be nosy and see what's going on up there. But, you know, it wasn't a big space, but they had a few little
clothing
and
and slippers and hats.
like that.
See, I always get to see it with the camera work that you've done.
Yeah, you didn't see this before.
No, I didn't.
A little bit of jewelry up there also. It was kind of neat. And then when we left the store, we went just a drive along Wasaga Beach.
It's beautiful.
It is the longest freshwater beach in the world, and it's like 14 kilometers long.
It's beautiful.
And this was a gorgeous day. This is only a sliver part of it. And I can't believe how empty it was. The weather was absolutely amazing.
Well, it's June. It's in the middle of the week, so maybe
I guess maybe through the week it's, you know. But, and Wasaga, they have about a population of about 24,000 people. And, but in the summer, I'm sure that goes up quite a bit. Now, I didn't know this, but in 2007, there was a huge fire that destroyed about 90% of all the little stores there.
Oh, dear.
2 guys ended up being charged with that.
Oh, my goodness.
Fire. But isn't that absolutely amazing?
It's beautiful.
I
Look
just
at the
love
colors.
it there. And the beach is beautiful. And it's owned by the Ontario Provincial Parks. So it's really well taken care of. From 14 kilometers of it. Couldn't believe it. Now, my great-grandmother had a seagull named Sammy the Seagull. It was her pet, and it used to come up to the window, and she'd feed it. And the thing is, it didn't really like buttered bread. Or no, it didn't like dry bread. It had to have buttered bread. And then we just took a little drive around the town just to show you some of the cottages that were there. Now, some of the people there, like I say, population is 24,000, will stay there through the year. But a nice little location, like on, you know, the greenery and
it's really
the
pretty.
beach. It's just a beautiful little area. You know, I imagine this house here is probably maybe a full-time homes.
Exactly. Oh, look at the water. It's beautiful.
Now, we took the 11-minute drive along the coast of Georgian Bay.
Right.
And that will take us into Craigleith.
And then up to the Blue Mountains.
Yes. Blue Mountain, and that's the ski resort.
Exactly.
And you can see the ski hills there from when we're driving in.
That's right.
It's only 11 minutes. And then some of the chalets at the ski resort.
Exactly. We hadn't been there for a while, and it's really become more built up.
And now this is the village. They call this the village. You can stay in the village, but we found it quite expensive. We had been there in the past. And it's all, like, these are pictures from the past because we didn't go in the village because we've been there and we'd seen all the little stores and we had other things to do. But
like the thrift store.
We did go to the thrift store and get a little present there. And then this was just another place that we stopped and we got this bird. I don't know what kind of bird that is.
We're going to have to ask our friend Joanne.
Yeah. And anyway, it was a great trip. Of course, we had to end the day with some French fries and some Diet Coke. Well, I hope that gave you a little idea of how our trip went down to Collingwood. We're pretty excited. We still got a little fewer places to go in the area. We're going to go a little north of Collingwood, but I just love that Georgian Bay area. It was just gorgeous. I could lay in that beach all day. It was it was warm. It was beautiful, and I just couldn't believe there was nobody there.
I know it was.
And it went for miles and miles. Well, 14 kilometers, I guess, miles and miles. So it was great. Great trip, loved it, and Colleen can tell you more about the yarn store.
So what I did before we left was I Googled yarn stores Collingwood because we've been there before and there wasn't really a yarn store, and all of a sudden up came something called the Makers Supply Company, And I thought, well, that's interesting. And then I saw the Maker's Outpost, and it was the same address. And I thought, okay, I'm confused. So the card that they gave us says the makersoutpost.ca, but you can also get to that website by putting in the Maker's Supply Company. So what they decided, so it's Susan and Bailey that owned the store. Susan was the lady we were speaking with, and Sophia is somebody who was going to be working there. And so we were talking to her, and she decided that because there was no yarn store in Collingwood, she would have a section of their store for yarn. And you could have seen it in the video, and it was great. So it's not big, but it's got what you need. And we'll talk a little bit about what I needed in souvenirs, because May always is like, how can you possibly need that? But I'll tell you.
So if you're ever in that area, it's
Yes.
a great little place to drop in right downtown. It's great.
Exactly. And all of the things in that store, they were good. They've got some great ideas. They had some yarn that I hadn't seen before. So they had Wool in the Gang, and I've seen it, but there's not many stores that carry it. So they wanted to have that. They had something called PWS, dyed in Wasaga, and it was a cashmere sock yarn. So I did look at that. And then I thought, no, I've got cashmere sock yarn in the car. I don't need some, but I did look at that. And then I felt this. It's called Sand Ness Garn Duo, and it's 55% wool, merino wool, and 45% cotton. And it was beautiful. Because when you get 100% cotton and you're thinking about making a garment or something, it's heavier. So, but if you get something that's got merino and cotton, and it was beautiful, and I think Susan had said she'd knit a sweater or something out of it, and it was gorgeous. And the colors that they had, there was a teal and then a kind of a minty green, and it was beautiful. I thought, oh, I don't need a sweater quantity, but if I did, that's what I would buy.
Nice.
So it was great. And we really enjoyed the store, and they spoke with us and took time with us, and I really, really appreciated that. So if you're in Collingwood and you're thinking about yarn and yarny things, then go to the Maker's Outpost. And it is on Hurontario Street, 159. And if you are just looking for gifts, they have lots of little
gifts in there too, which
exactly.
is great. Yeah.
So it's a great place to go. So that's our adventure. And next we're going to talk about souvenirs. So May, any souvenirs for you?
I very rarely get a souvenir, don't I?
That's true.
Or if I get a souvenir, it's a saw, and I can't bring it in here. But we were in the secondhand store again.
Right.
And I love finding little treasures in there. And sure enough, found a lovely little treasure.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I find treasures to resell at my store. And I didn't find anything to do that way, but I did find something for you and I.
Yes.
And I couldn't believe we found this. And this is a Maxine Noel painting.
Yes, it's beautiful.
And
the colors are brilliant.
Yes, we loved it as soon as we saw it.
I said, May, we got to get it.
Yeah.
She goes, for my store? I went, no,
For
not for
us.
your store, for us.
And it's so nicely framed on the back, and it's got everything about Maxine Noel on the back,
Oh,
which is
that's
great.
really neat.
She's definitely our favorite artist,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a couple of her paintings in our hallway that we just love too.
Yeah.
So yes, so all about her on the back.
Right.
I guess she was born in Manitoba, Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and if you bought you could probably look at her online as to what she did and everything else. And they have a store in Stratford, Ontario.
Stratford. And they have mugs and tea towels.
T-shirts we
and
bought.
T-shirts, which we have. Mm-hmm.
And purses and all kinds
of
with her
things. That's
artwork
right.
on it. Because
Yeah.
I love her color palettes.
I know, exactly.
It's just really nice.
It's beautiful.
Anyway, secondhand store. I think this was like, I don't know, $10 to $15, something like that.
yeah.
Very reasonable. Really
Exactly,
nice. And in great shape.
So that's one secondhand
line.
store. Then we went to the Salvation Army thrift store, because part of it was going to yarn stores and part of it was going to thrift stores to see what we could find
For my store.
for your store. But we didn't find anything for your store at the Salvation Army one, but we did find this for me. So for $5, I got this, which is a scrub shirt. And the reason why I got this is when we're making soap, I need something like this. Now this was, I think, $5, and if I'm going to buy something like this new at Walmart, it's $32. So it was a bargain. I said, May, it's only $5.
Yeah.
Put it in. There we go.
And you wear this when you make soap, because if
All
you
the
spill
time.
on it, you just end
I
up
don't
throwing
care
them
what-
out anyway.
that's
So
right.
this is perfect. And you just give it a
Exactly.
wash up, and
Exactly.
you're golden. Yeah. So
Exactly. So
two
that was
great little
exciting.
finds.
Now back to the yarn store, because we do enjoy a yarn store. So two things. First of all, I'm busy making my Christina button cowl, and I like to always up the size one, they're knit for me on a 9, and I'm usually with a 10 when I bind off. And do you think I remembered to bring a size 10 needle? I did not. And I thought, well, I could bind off super loosely, and I thought, it doesn't make any sense to do that. So I picked up, so this is a 40-inch 10mm needle. It's the Knitter's Prize Dreams. I do not have this needle, so it wasn't that it was a waste of time or money. So that's that. So anyway, it helped me with my cowls that I made. And May's looking at, how did you forget that needle?
I'm not thinking how did you forget. I just visualize all your needles. Like I'm visualizing like rows and rows and rows of needles. And then you have to go away and buy needles. Well,
because I forgot it. If I'd remembered it, I wouldn't have bought a needle. Okay.
Well, now you have 2 sets.
No. I don't have any of these.
Oh.
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't have anything that's this big. So it is, and they're lovely to work with. The Dreams are nice. They're really nice. Okay, so that was my first thing from the Maker's Supply Company, Maker's Outpost. Now, then I picked up a Rogue Counter Clicky. It's another Knitter's Pride one. And here's my deal. So I have a new plan. Normally, when I put my projects somewhere, they're in plastic bags, which keeps them safe. The moths don't get in there. But then I think, okay, Colleen, you have made and purchased project bags, and you're not using them. So this is like the expression, use the good dishes. So I thought, okay, Colleen, enough is enough. So use them. And my niece was here last July, and I had made her a project bag, and hers is lovely and well worn. And I thought, why don't I use the project bags that I have?
And get it worn out.
And get it worn out.
Sew yourself another one.
Exactly. So this is my new plan, hence the new roll counter. I am going to, knock on wood that I'm going to do this. I am going to start that my project is going to be in a project bag. And then everything will be good. I'll have a row counter in there so I can keep it. Because what I was doing with the row counter I brought was I thought, okay, I'm working on that socks. What number did I have? I'm working on that sock, different row. So anyway, if I do that, I'm going to first of all enjoy using my project bags that I have, because I do have a number of them, and I just don't use them. So enough's enough. I've decided. How do you like that?
I like that.
I've decided.
I'm glad. I keep telling you to use the project bags.
Use the good stuff,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Use the good china. That's the idea. So this is not good china, but it will be used. And it will be used well, because I do like to take all that good stuff. So that's my new plan.
And in that yarn store that we're in, where you purchase this kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
they had bracelets, and they have and I'm thinking, when you're a crafty person and you're in a store like that, we don't purchase other things in there, because we can make candles, we can make bracelets, and but for people that don't do that, it's a perfect little store for that kind of thing.
Exactly.
So anyway, I'm hoping that you do use that.
That's my plan. I should start, just to make myself accountable, when I have my project.
Take a picture.
Pull it out. I'll just magically pull it out of the project bag, and then you'll see it on camera. So those are our souvenirs. Anything else made for you souvenir-wise?
No, that was it. That was great.
And we had a great time in Collingwood and Wasaga Beach. We just loved it. Their weather held for us, which was good.
Great time of year to go.
Exactly.
Through the week, as you could see, not busy. I imagine up there in the summer, when the kids are out of school, July and August, I think it would be quite busy. But we went at a perfect time. It was lovely. We got to sit there and relax, and we sat at the beach for quite a little while. And just relaxed and enjoyed. So.
Exactly. So thanks so much for watching. If you like what you're seeing, give us a thumbs up, comment down below.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell to get a note. Ring the bell.
Thank you for subscribing. Those of you who have subscribed, we really appreciate it.
Yes, and we're getting back into the swing of things. So if you comment, I'll do my best to reply to your comments, because that's my job, and I love doing that. So until next time,
you take care.